So I'm here on 27 acres. I'm on the doorstep of World Heritage listed Nightcap National Park in the Bundjalung Nation, inland from Byron Bay. I started my creative practice in 1994. I segued into making mosaics from the fashion industry after developing a love of Roman mosaics. Became fascinated by the way that Romans had actually made really quite intricate, detailed images using small, regular tessera. It suited my attention to detail and my mindset. And it was always a long-term dream ever since I was young to be self-employed and running my own creative venture. I specialise in bespoke, architectural, site-specific mosaics. Often the work that I am making is for a specific building project and designed to a client brief. I usually go through a two-part design and then develop that into a final, developed concept based upon client feedback. Once we've done that, I take the design into full-scale enlargement, so it'll be enlarged to the full capacity of the design. And we fabricate everything off-site in studio using an indirect technique that was developed by the Byzantines during the 5th and 6th century, and we're just using a contemporary adaptation of that ancient process. Sometimes you would have like a lime putty plastered wall. The artist would go in and paint a fresco into a lime putty that was kept moist, and then the team of mosaicists would go in and then embed their mosaic into that, what we call like a working cartoon. So we're working still very similar to those ancient techniques. We're just actually using, I suppose, modern materials. So that lime putty has been replaced, with like paper cartoons and modern, waterproof adhesives that will stand the test of time just as much. And by understanding, the history of the medium, it's a foundation principle of my practice. I think it's always good just to hold on to some old ways of telling new stories. And for my philosophy is that I see myself, and a part of my practice is to be a storyteller. One of my specialties is my ability to recontextualize, old stories into a new contemporary context, so that those ancient stories actually speak to a contemporary audience. My work has more of I think it actually has a more classical styling, as opposed to a lot of contemporary mosaics you would see that came out of the birth of modernism when Antonio Gaudi introduced the idea of using household ceramic tile and breaking it into irregular pieces. And we see a lot of that mosaic done by home enthusiasts and hobbyists. But that's not the way that I work, because it's not necessarily the traditional long-standing practice of a tessera mosaic of regular shape size pieces. Currently, I've got 4 studio assistants working. It's the works that I do, can take sometimes months or up to a year and a half on some projects. It's just great to have other people coming together in the studio and, helping me carry out my vision. For me, it's about bridging 2 worlds, and I've got a foot in each door, and it just helps me to find that middle ground and that balance. It's very satisfying. There's something about creating a sense of order and creating beauty. Like, I have a high aesthetic need, and for me, having to be able to use some of the world's most richest, glorious materials of handmade glass, with a multifaceted face that has this wonderful light refractive quality that can be used in commercial and residential and public and religious spaces. It's a very wonderful, lucky way for me to work, sitting here, in like what some people say paradise.